Hello everybody, I am Sayuri Sarkar, a first year chemical engineering student at Vellore Institute of Technology. I am making this video as a part of my digital assignment in physics, and I hope it helps you to understand more about lasers. As in this video, I will explain what is laser and how to generate laser. To begin with, the most obvious question: what is laser? The word laser, LASER, stands for light amplification of stimulated emission of radiation. Yes, so light amplification of stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, so laser is an intense beam of coherent monochromatic light, and it is produced by stimulated emission of excited atoms. Whoa, those are lots of big words to understand at the first go. So we will take up each one at a time. Let's begin with coherency. Light waves are said to be coherent if they are in phase with each other. Is that the light waves start in the same place at the same position and have the same wavelength. So as you see, this is what it looks like. Please forgive the mirror images happening with the text, but don't bother about it. Look at the two diagrams. This one, you can see quite a few waves, but are they moving together? No. They are moving in different directions, and they do not have the same wavelength, neither are they in the same phase. But look at this. In this, you can see all the waves starting at the same position in the same wave, and they all have the same wavelength. Hence, they are all in phase. So we call this incoherent LED light, and this is coherent laser light. Okay? So moving on, now we said laser is monochromatic as well. So what is monochromaticity? If light coming from a source has only one frequency or wavelength, it is said to be monochromatic. Actually speaking, it is not possible to have an exactly monochromatic light. Because if we do, then we would violate Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So how do we state that laser is a monochromatic light? Usually light from any source has a band of frequencies spaced around a central frequency nu naught. This band of frequency delta nu is also called bandwidth. The bandwidth for conventional light is of the order 10 raised to 10 Hz. Whereas the bandwidth for laser is only 100 Hz. So now, what if we compare these two? Can you analyze? Can you see the difference? When we compare the bandwidth of laser light with conventional light bandwidth, the difference is so huge that we can term laser as monochromatic light. Let me show you. Look at this graph. In this graph, on the y-axis, we have intensity, and on the x-axis, we have wavelength. And this graph is for visible conventional light, rainbow. So can you see how broad the curve is? How broad the large range of wavelength over which the curve is spaced? Yeah. So this curve is very, very broad. So this means it has quite a lot of wavelength and this light cannot be termed as monochromatic light. Yes, as we said that the bandwidth for conventional light is of the order 10 raised to 10 hertz. So you see how broad this is. Now, if we compare this with this, now see, this is the same graph with intensity of light wave on the y-axis and wavelength of the light wave on the x-axis. This graph is for laser. Can you see how narrow the bandwidth is? Yes. How narrow this is in comparison to this. So, we term laser as monochromatic light on this basis. Because if compared with this, we can definitely say that this is a single frequency, single wavelength light wave. Because even though we know that it has a few wavelengths in between, but the bandwidth is so narrow that we can consider everything to be same, and we can consider lasers as a monochromatic light. So that's about coherency and monochromaticity. Then we say that laser is produced or generated by a process called stimulated emission. Yes, you have guessed right. Now we know what laser is. So we are now moving on to how laser is generated. So as I previously mentioned that the main process for generation of laser is stimulated emission. But before we understand stimulated emission, we need to know two other processes: absorption and spontaneous emission. Okay, so first we'll take up absorption. It is the transition of an atom from the ground state E1 to the excited state E2 upon taking energy from an incident photon. If from an incident photon. So the whole process is very simple. You have an incident light wave, incident photons. The atom here in the ground state, a lower energy level E1, absorbs the energy from this and gets excited to a higher energy level, which is E2. So this is what is the entire process of absorption. So if we consider the population of atoms in the lower energy level E1 as N1, and if we consider the population of atoms in the higher energy level E2 as N2, then this means that with every absorption transition, one photon disappears from the incident light field and one atom is added to N2. So as simple as that. Now moving to the next process, we have spontaneous emission. Spontaneous emission is a process in which an atom in the excited energy level undergoes decay to the ground state spontaneously on its own, and during this transition, downward transition, it releases a photon. So this process is again a simple one to understand. We have an atom, this time not in the ground state but in the excited energy, higher energy level E2. It spontaneously on its own undergoes a downward transition to the ground state or a lower energy level E1, and during this transition it releases a photon of energy which is equal to the difference of energies between the two energy levels. Okay, done. So now we can move on to the important process required or that generates laser, which is stimulated emission. Okay, so in stimulated emission we see that it is a process in which an atom in the excited energy, higher energy level or the excited state interacts with a photon of appropriate energy, which is h nu equal to E2 minus E1. So it interacts with that photon, which triggers a downward transition to the lower energy level E1. Yes, you see the atom from the higher energy level comes down to the lower energy level. When it does, know that during this downward transition, the atom releases a photon. The emitted photon is identical to the stimulating photon with the same frequency, polarization, and direction of propagation. So, the photons as a result that are being emitted are and the one that we had initially, the stimulating one, both of them are coherent. This is a critical property that allows amplification or increase in intensity to take place. Because you see, you have one photon coming in and you have two going out. Yes. So as we know, there is an amplification factor in lasers. So this is where the increase in amplification or increase in intensity plays its role. This is stimulated emission, which is the process by which we generate lasers. But in this case, if we need more number of photons emitted here, we have to follow a condition, which is known as the population inversion condition. And this condition is a prerequisite, mandatory prerequisite for laser generation. This condition states that N2 should be greater than N1. So what is N2? We know N2 is the population of atoms in the higher energy level E2, and N1 is the population of atoms in the lower energy level E1. So it says that N2 should be greater than N1. Why? If we have more number of atoms in the higher level, then more number of atoms can be stimulated to decay from the higher energy level to the lower energy level, and we can have more number of photons emitted, which will result in greater amplification. So this is where the population inversion condition plays its part in the process of stimulated emission. So these two things go hand in hand, and both are required for successful laser generation. So now that we have come to the end of my video, I would like to have a small recap of what we've done. So first we began with what is lasers. We found out and learned what laser stands for, and we got to know that laser is an intense beam which is coherent, monochromatic, and it is produced by a process called stimulated emission of excited atoms. So we checked up and we understood coherency, monochromaticity. We also discussed three important processes: absorption, spontaneous emission, and stimulated emission, along with the population inversion condition. And both these last two things, stimulated emission process and population inversion condition, both go hand in hand, and both are very essential for laser generation. Hope you liked my video, and thank you so much for patiently listening to me. If you enjoyed my video and if you found it helpful, please do click on the like button. Thank you.